Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel, that is Mechanical Engineering Make Easy. This is Akash Misir here, and from today I am starting the machine design. This is first lecture. I know the manufacturing section is also remaining and number of subjects are remaining. I am going to cover 2 to 3 subjects simultaneously so that you will get to know all the syllabus also. Okay, and simultaneously after completing syllabus I am going to cover with the PYQs also, previous year questions, and we are moving with gate. Okay, so today's lecture we are going to talk about theories of elastic failure. So there are 5 types of theories of elastic failure, and depending on that theories the failure we are going to measure when the failure will take place. Okay, and with that help we are going to design any component. So first is maximum principal stress theory. Maximum principal stress theory. Okay, what is the statement of this theory? That is the failure of mechanical components subjected to 1D, 2D or 3-dimensional stresses. Okay, or we can say biaxial or triaxial stresses occurs when the maximum principal stress reaches to yield strength of material. Okay, means for example the sigma 1, it is the maximum principal stress. We are going to denote maximum principal stress by sigma 1. If this reaches to yield strength, then the failure will take place. Okay, what the maximum principal stress theory? If the maximum principal stress occurred because of biaxial or triaxial loading between that component that reaches the yield strength of that material, so ultimately the material will fail. Okay, this is the maximum principal stress theory. So from that we got one equation, that is nothing but sigma 1 equal to SYT upon factor of safety. Okay, or we can say SYC upon factor of safety. How we get the yield stress? Yield stress is depend on the yield tensile stress or maybe yield compressive stress, and this is yield stress, so and this is yield strength parameter. So yield strength upon factor of safety is yield stress. Okay, strength upon factor of safety equal to stress. Okay, this much amount of stress is going to develop, and that stress is yield strength upon factor of safety. So that may be tensile or that may be compressive. So that is nothing but the sigma 1 equal to SYT upon factor of safety or SYC upon factor of safety. This equation is important while solving numericals. So note down this equation. Okay, and what are the limitations of maximum principal stress theory? As we noted that the yields at the yield point the failure will occur. Okay, at the yield point the failure will occur, but there are limitations like in pure, if the element in pure shear, then that fails at. Okay, if element in pure shear, if the element, any element is there and that is in pure shear, then that fails at 0.577 of sigma y. Okay, and here this is 1 of sigma y, and here that is 577 of sigma y. So ultimately this will fail before this. So this theory is not going to valid here. For pure shear maximum principal stress theory is not valid. And again for ductile materials also the maximum principal stress theory is not valid. Maximum principal stress theory is valid only for brittle material. And in that also, if the tensile and compression load is there, then only. If there is shear load, then also the maximum principal stress theory is not valid for that. Okay, so note down this point, this formula. Okay, so I will move towards next theory, and at the last of this lecture I will going to come up with one figure which will have all the 4 theories, not total 5 theories, the 4 theories graph. So you will get a proper comparison of all the theories. Then next is maximum principal strain theory. Maximum principal strain theory. Okay, maximum principal strain theory. So what this theory says, and another name is also there, that is Saint Venant's theory. Okay, this is another name of maximum principal strain theory, that is nothing but a Saint Venant's theory, because this the another names are too much important, because in case of numericals you may get confused that St. Venant's theory, which is that? You know that maximum principal strain theory, but what is St. Venant's theory? That's why these names should be noted properly. Okay, so yielding will occur when the maximum principal strain just exceeds the strain at the tensile yield point in either simple tension or compression. Means what will happen? Yielding will occur when, okay, yielding will occur when the principal strain just exceeds the strain at the tensile yield point in either tension or compression. The strain at tensile yield point, okay, this, if the principal strain exceeds the strain at that yielding point, then the yield will occur. So we will look the formula. Epsilon 1, and this is epsilon is the denotation of our strain. Okay, strain is denoted by epsilon. Epsilon 1 equal to sigma 1 minus nu sigma 2 upon E, okay, or sigma y upon E. Okay, so this is modulus of elasticity, this is strain, this is stress, that is maximum principal stress and this is maximum, this is minimum. Okay, maximum principal stress, minimum principal stress. Okay, and this is sigma y, that is yield stress. Okay, and this is the equation for if sigma 1, the magnitude of sigma 1 is greater than or equal to magnitude of sigma 2. If the magnitude of sigma 1 is greater than or equal to magnitude of sigma 2, then this equation is valid. Okay, and another one equation is also there, and that is nothing but epsilon 2 equal to sigma 2 minus nu sigma 1 upon E, okay, which is also sigma y upon E, and it is valid for if magnitude of sigma 2 is greater than or equal to magnitude of sigma 1. Means if sigma 1 is greater, then this equation will be there. If sigma 2 is greater, then this equation will be there. Okay, depending on the values of maximum principal stress theory and minimum principal stress, this maximum stress, minimum stress, that is sigma 1 and sigma 2. Depending on these two parameters, you have to use this equation or this equation. Okay, this is maximum principal stress, this is minimum principal stress. This we will look in case of our strength of material subject. Okay, what is the maximum principal stress and minimum principal stress, but before that you should have this idea. Okay, then what's this? Nu is nothing but Poisson's ratio. Okay, nu is nothing but Poisson's ratio. So note down these two formulas, and I will give you idea about this maximum principal strain theory, that when this theory can be used and when cannot be used. Okay, so maximum principal strain theory overcomes the elastic strength of ductile material. This is limitation. Means what happens if there is ductile material, then that will going to fail before this yielding will occur. Okay, as in case of principal strain theory, okay, maximum principal strain theory, the equation for yield strength is nothing but epsilon 1 upon, okay, this kind of equation is there. But here what they are going to say, in case of ductile material, the failure will occur before this yielding will occur. Okay, before this epsilon 1 the failure will occur, so ultimately the component will fail earlier. So for ductile material the maximum principal strain theory is not useful. Okay, and good for brittle material. Okay, for brittle material it is good, for brittle material it is good. Okay, this is the advantage and this is disadvantage of maximum principal strain theory. So we will move towards next theory, that is maximum shear stress theory. Total 5 types of theories are there, theories of failure. So next is maximum principal stress theory, maximum shear stress theory. Maximum shear stress theory. Okay, So what is that? Another name, that is Coulomb Tresca and Guest theory. Okay, the maximum shear stress theory have another name, that is Coulomb Tresca and Guest's theory. These three scientists are there, they have designed the maximum shear stress theory. That's why the Coulomb Tresca and Guest theory is another name of maximum shear stress theory. So what exactly it is? That is nothing but the failure will occur when the maximum shear stress at any point in the component becomes equal to the maximum shear stress in the standard specimen of tension test only when yielding starts. Okay, means what happens? Okay, if this is the component, and for example at this point the maximum shear stress is equal to this is actual maximum shear stress, and which will be equal to maximum shear stress of test specimen. Means we will have the values of maximum shear stress of test specimen by practically, and if actual value of maximum shear stress will going to increase apart from that, then the component will fail. Okay, this is nothing but the maximum shear stress theory. For example, this is specimen, and this specimen have failed at the shear stress of, for example, 400 MPa. Okay, I am only assuming the values for your concept clarification. If this specimen have standard specimen have failed at the shear stress of 400 MPa, then if the same material we have used for this component, okay, material will be same, and at any point on that component, if the maximum shear stress occurs with 400 MPa or above 400 MPa, then at that point the failure will start and the failure of component will occur. This is nothing but the maximum shear stress theory. Okay. If you are not getting clear, then comment me, I will give you again explanation, but as per my knowledge I am giving all the possible explanation what I can give you. So what are the formulas for maximum shear stress theory? That is sigma 1 minus sigma 2 upon 2 equal to SYT upon factor of safety, twice factor of safety. Okay, so sigma 1, this is maximum principal stress, says minimum principal stress, upon 2 equal to SYT upon twice factor of safety. This is one equation from maximum shear stress theory we got, and another is tau max equal to sigma 1 by 2, which is equal to SYT upon twice factor of safety. Okay, this is also one equation. So these two equations from maximum shear stress theory are too much important, so note down these two equations. And this theory is well justified for ductile material. Okay, well justified for ductile material, as the shear stress we are going to consider. So this theory is well justified for ductile material. So this is advantage of maximum shear stress theory. Okay, before that, maximum shear strain theory, maximum principal stress theory and maximum principal strain theory, both was not possible to use for ductile material, but the maximum shear stress theory that we can use for ductile material. Okay, then there is maximum strain energy theory. Okay, next is maximum strain energy theory. This is fourth theory. Okay, what is this? The failure will occur when the total strain energy absorbed at point per unit volume exceeds the strain energy absorbed per unit volume at the tensile yield point. Means if this is component, okay, and for example at this point, if the total strain energy absorbed which will be becomes equal to or more than the strain energy absorbed at the point when yielding occurs. Okay, at the per unit volume at the tensile yield point. Okay, per unit volume at the tensile yield point. So in that case the failure of component will take place. Maximum strain energy theory says that if the strain energy absorbed is exceeds the strain energy per unit volume at the tensile yield point. Okay, if the strain energy, okay, strain energy per unit volume at tensile yield point is, for example, 400, then if at any point the strain energy absorbed exceeds the value of 400, then ultimately that component will fail. Okay, this is the maximum strain energy theory, and this is good for thick cylinder. Okay, good for thick cylinder of ductile material, means if there is cylinder, okay, thick cylinder of ductile material, if there is thick cylinder of ductile material, then in that case the maximum strain energy theory is good, and this is well justified for that, and can't be applied for brittle material. For brittle material we can't use this maximum strain energy theory, so this is disadvantage of maximum strain energy theory. Okay, we will move towards fifth theory of failure, which is that is nothing but the distortion energy theory. Distortion energy theory, and which have another name, that is von Mises theory or the Henke's theory. Okay, what are the names? The von Mises theory and Henke's theory. So note down these optional names also, because these optional names are too much important. Which are that? Von Mises or and Henke's theory. If you want spelling, then look to board. I have here spelling also, von Mises and Henke's theory. Okay, this is nothing but the distortion energy theory. This is fifth theory and last theory of elastic failure. Okay, so yielding will occur when the total distortion energy absorbed per unit volume due to applied load exceeds the distortion energy absorbed per unit volume at the tensile yield point. Okay, if this is component, for example, at this point the distortion energy absorbed per unit volume exceeds the value of distortion energy absorbed per unit volume at tensile yield point. This is the statement. What is the statement? The failure will occur when the distortion energy absorbed per unit volume at any point will increase or exceeds from which value, that is the distortion energy absorbed per unit volume at the tensile yield point. Okay, then the failure will occur. This is nothing but the distortion energy theory or von Mises and Henke's theory. Okay, this is the very short statement of the distortion energy theory. Okay, so there are some formulas of distortion energy theory. We will look that formulas. What are that? That is nothing but the sigma x square plus 3 tau xy square equal to SYT upon factor of safety whole square. Okay, this is one formula, and these are formulas which have been designed by that theory. Okay, so that's why I am directly given you formulas, not all the explanation of that, because that explanation is not going to have use anywhere. Or there is another formula, that is sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square minus sigma 1 sigma 2, which is equal to SYT upon factor of safety whole square. Okay, this is also one formula. If you have values of sigma x, that is stress in x direction, and tau xy, that is shear stress on xy plane, then you can get the values of SYT or factor of safety, or maybe you will have the value of sigma x, SYT and factor of safety. You have to calculate the tau xy, that is shear stress, value of shear stress in xy plane. So depending on that values, you have to use this equation. If you have maximum principal stress, minimum principal stress, likewise the values, then you can use this equation. Okay, these two equations are there which are denoting the distortion energy theories. This is stress in x direction, this is shear stress, okay, in xy plane, this is yield tensile strength, this is factor of safety, maximum principal stress, minimum principal stress. These are all the parameters. Okay, so we will move forward, and that is nothing but the distortion energy is good for ductile material. Okay, we have seen total 5 theories. In that, first 2 theories was good for brittle material, and last 3 theories was good for ductile material. So note down this difference also. This is important for gate exam point of view. Then can't apply for brittle. This is not good for brittle. We cannot apply this for brittle. Okay. Then ellipse. Okay, there may be the case that we have to apply this distortion energy theory in case of ellipse. Then ellipse have two type of axes, one is major axis and one is minor axis. For example, I will draw one ellipse here. Okay, this is major axis, and this is minor axis, this is minor axis. Okay, so what are the formulas for that? First is for major axis, we will get 2 root 2 SYT. Okay, major axis 2 root 2 SYT, and minor axis is nothing but 2 under root 2 by 3 SYT. And what is this ellipse? This ellipse is nothing but, this is the area, and this is one plane we can say, and the area under ellipse is going to shape as the distortion energy theory. Distortion energy theory says that the area which will be under this plane, under this ellipse, that will be shaped. This is the figure of distortion energy theory. Here will be the values of sigma y, and this is the curve for, and this is safe region, we can say safe region. Okay, now I will draw the figure which will have all the 4 theories, not 5 theories. There is one theory is nothing there, but the 4 theories are there. Okay, these are x axis and y axis. On that we are going to denote the stress parameter. Okay, there will be one square which will have value of sigma y, here also sigma y, here also minus sigma y, and here also minus sigma y. Okay, and next will be ellipse, and this ellipse shows the distortion energy theory. Okay, likewise the ellipse is there which will pass through the points. Here the sigma y value is there, here also sigma y, here minus sigma y, here minus sigma y. What is sigma y? That is yield stress. Okay, and this is ellipse which is showing us the distortion energy theory. Okay, this is distortion energy theory. Then we will move towards next point, and that is nothing but, okay, firstly I will draw one line here. Okay, and now we will draw one hexagon like structure. Okay, this is hexagon. Okay, this kind of hexagon is there. The ellipse here, the ellipse is above, and here the ellipse is here, and hexagon is here. Okay, and last thing that is remaining, that is nothing but this hexagon will also extend here. That line will be likewise. Okay, from here also that line will be extend likewise. Okay, means this is one kind of rectangle is going to form there. Okay, this is one kind of this is graph of one theory, this is a graph of another theory. The ellipse is there and the hexagon is there. These are four kinds of theories I have denoted in one figure itself. So I will give you idea. This hexagon, what, sorry, yes, this is the maximum principal strain theory. Okay, which is that this I have shown with this black. Okay, this is nothing but the maximum principal strain theory. Maximum principal strain theory. Okay, this I have shown with this black wala rectangle. Okay, then next is nothing but the distortion energy theory, that we know this is ellipsis distortion energy theory. Distortion energy theory. Then there is maximum shear stress theory, and that is nothing but this hexagon, which is likewise the all inner portion of this. Okay, likewise I am only outlined that this is the maximum shear stress theory, which is all from all sides. The inside portion is nothing but the maximum shear stress theory. Then this is maximum principal stress theory, which is the square. Okay, what I have drawn at the first, that is maximum principal stress theory. Maximum principal stress theory. So these are four theories that I have denoted with graph, so that you will get to know that this hexagon, that is maximum shear stress theory, it covers all the portion, which means if any component is there and that is satisfying all the conditions, or that is satisfying all the conditions of maximum shear stress theory, then ultimately that will satisfy the maximum principal strain theory also, distortion energy theory also, maximum principal stress theory also, because this area is included in all the figures. Okay, in ellipse also, in this square also, and in this rectangle also. Okay, so this is the figure which is going to denote by denoting all these four theories. And for MCQ point of view, in case of GATE, this figure will be asked to you. That's why draw this figure. If you facing any confusion, then let me know, so that I will again give you any idea. Okay, and here the values. Okay, like this is the value of 0.5 times sigma y. Okay, at this point, which is the inner hexagon, and the ellipse have value of 0.577 of sigma y. Okay, so at this axis of that dotted line, the inner hexagon have the value of 0.5 sigma y, and the ellipse have value of 0.577 sigma y. Okay, so draw this figure. This is too much important for our GATE point of view. And sorry for that, this video is too much longer, but I wanted to cover all the theories of failure within one lecture. That's why I have done likewise. And for bonus point, if elongation is less than 5%, means there is the difference between brittle material and ductile material. If the percentage of elongation is less than 5%, then this is brittle material, and if that is greater than or equal to 5%, then that material becomes ductile material. Means if any material is there and we are applying force on that material and that material deforms plastically, and the elongation will take place. Okay, if there is tensile force, then elongation will take place, and before breaking, if the elongation is less than 5% of that length, okay, for example at the starting the length was 100 meter and before failure the total length was 105 meter, so what happened, the 5% of elongation take place here. So this will be the ductile material, because the greater than or equal to 5% of elongation, that is nothing but the ductile material, and if this will become the value of 103 meter before failure, then ultimately that will be the brittle material. Okay, so this is the difference between the percentage of elongation of ductile material and brittle material. So please like, share and subscribe my channel, and we will meet again friends. Thank you.